Hi everyone, welcome to our Facebook Live today. My name is Alyssa and I'm the Marketing Manager here at Katoomba. And today I'm back with Kirsten McHarg, who is the Digital Marketing Director at Savvy Salon Marketing. Hey Kirsten.
Hey Alyssa, how are you?
Yeah, good. What about you?
Yeah, good, thanks, good.
Good. I'm so glad to be back with you. So for those of you that might be new here or haven't seen one of these lives before, every single month we focus on a different topic related to digital marketing because we know how important it is to a successful business, but we also know it can be quite hard. You might need some advice or some help in these areas, and so we just kind of want to cover off various different topics to really help. And like I said, Kirsten's a real specialist in this area, so she is fantastic to have here, and we're so pleased to be working with her throughout this kind of series. And today we are talking all about the nuts and bolts of Facebook advertising, which I'm really, really excited about because this can be such an incredible method of marketing for businesses. And yeah, it can be really easy once you kind of get the hang of it. So yes, that's what we're going to be talking about today. And I know that when Kirsten and I were talking earlier in the week, she said it's such a massive topic. And there's so much to cover. And so what she's broken it down into is really the basics of a good ad campaign. So we're going to run through that. And if you guys have any questions at all, please do ask them while we're kind of chatting away. And we'll ask them as we see those questions. Or answer them, I should say. Awesome. All right. So the very first part that I know you want to cover, Kirsten, which I think is really important as well, because I personally find Facebook and kind of the structure of it very confusing. So you've got your page, and then there's ads, and there's a manager, and there's it's all over the place. Really, I think they need to get a little bit more organized. But so I know the first part is, what is a business manager account? And why should people be using that instead of the ads manager function on their Facebook page?
Yeah. The first thing first is Facebook advertising is super confusing and quite a minefield. And even for someone like me who's in and out of business manager and Facebook ads every day, Facebook changes things. They don't tell you they're changing things. And so things move around. So it does actually make it quite difficult if you're not in there all the time. But if you go to your Facebook page, you'll notice down the left-hand side column when you're logged in that there's a little section there for ads. So that is not your business manager. That is just a very, very light form of business manager. And you can go in there and you can do simple ads. You can boost some posts, and there's not a lot that you can do. But if you want to get really targeted and really specific with the people that you're trying to reach and create, I guess, more sophisticated ads that get better results for you, then business manager is where you want to be. And as Alyssa said, it is confusing in there. And, even a Google search will bring some good instructions for you. And I highly recommend using instructions that aren't the Facebook instructions because they're not always very intuitive. But once you get it sorted out and you have your page from your salon attached to your business manager and you have an ad account set up, you've got access to a whole lot more functionality of creating audiences and having different ad types and things that we'll talk about here today. Once you get the hang of it and you just play around with it, it's actually not as bad as you first think. But navigating it isn't necessarily intuitive, and it does feel like Facebook's not there to help you.
Yes. Yeah, I do feel it's like once you know where to click and which part of Facebook you need to go to, you're totally fine. And it is actually quite easy to create ads. It's just the getting there sometimes.
It is.
We're a manager.
That's right. Notwithstanding that they always reserve the right to change things around and things just go into places that make no sense. But it's not as bad as it at first might appear. So it is worth persevering with.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. All right, and so once people have got that sorted because they're in the right place and they can really make a difference with their advertising, what is your recommendation around the objective that they should be choosing for their ad campaign?
Yeah, so there's essentially 3 objectives that I work with and sometimes 4. And objective obviously is what is the goal of your ad? What are you trying to get people to do? Do you want them to just know about you? Do you want them to buy something? Or do you want their contact details? So a really, really good ad campaign to start with, particularly if you're new to Business Manager, is what's called a traffic campaign. So when you get into Business Manager and you're starting to set up your ad, it will say, what's your objective? And you can choose brand awareness or traffic. So either of those two are really good. nice and simple to set up, and they're just designed to drive people to a website or a landing page. So I use them a lot to drive traffic to a salon's website. And when we come and talk about audiences in a minute, you'll understand why that's a really, really good objective to choose. If you're new to Facebook advertising, it's always good to choose a traffic campaign or a brand awareness campaign, because essentially you're going out to a cold audience. So they don't necessarily know you. They haven't necessarily been to your website before. So it's a way of warming up the audience so that when you go to another campaign, which you might be selling something to them, they already know about you and you can go back and market to those people. So that's one. So you've warmed the audience up. Then there's another objective called conversion. So when you choose the conversion, you're essentially hoping that people have already been to your website and they know about you and they're warmed up, and so they're more likely to click on your buy now or accept this offer or whatever it is that you're selling. So that's the objective that's the goal of the conversion objective. And then lead generation is actually quite a neat little campaign, because you have an ad, you create a form, and it will download into your Facebook page the name, the email, and the mobile number of a whole lot of leads, basically. And then you can just hop on the phone or get on an email. So there is quite distinct objectives. And again, like anything with digital marketing, and I say this every time, it's test, learn, adjust. You're just testing something, learning what works and what doesn't, and adjusting that. And then you just rinse and repeat and do that all over again, basically. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, and also, like we've spoken about many times as well, is what are you trying to achieve? What is your key goal? So what does your business need when it comes to marketing, and so therefore why are you doing these Facebook ads, and not just doing it because for any old reason. It's because you're trying to truly achieve a particular goal.
Yeah. And just keeping in mind that when you're doing a brand awareness or a traffic campaign in particular, you're not actually necessarily trying to get people to buy anything. You're actually just trying to get them to know about you and to come and visit you on your website. So often I might run a traffic campaign and people go, I've got no bookings, nothing's happened, no one's inquired. But that's because that's not the goal of that objective. So when it comes to conversions, when it comes to lead generation, yes, you're expecting something more tangible as an outcome, but people won't come flooding to your salon just because you've done a Facebook ad.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. Awesome. And then you just mentioned audiences. So how do people create really effective audiences for their ad campaigns?
Yeah. So this is probably one of the things that's most important in an ad campaign. Again, it's test, learn, and adjust. And I do that all the time, every day. Even when I know an audience, I'm still testing, learning, adjusting, because there are other things that go into it. But when you've had those traffic campaigns and you've had people to come to your website or come to a landing page, or they've come to your Facebook page or gone to Instagram, or you emailed them, you can actually start to create audiences of people who have come to know you through those means. And they're called lookalike audiences and custom audiences. And I'm sure that most people out there have heard about custom audiences and lookalike audiences, but they are where the gold is, because that's where the warm audience is. So yes, you can go and create an ad and you can say, I'm looking for women in this age group who are interested in this skincare range or this hair care product or styling, color, whatever. You can do that, nothing wrong with that. But that's generally when you're starting out and you're not really sure, so you're starting somewhere. Then when you realize that you are starting to get some traffic or visitors to your website, you can create audiences that are custom and lookalike out of people who have already visited you. So it's quite a technical sort of topic to discuss, really, and try and explain without showing. But in Business Manager, there is a section there where you can actually create custom audiences and lookalike audiences. Lookalike meaning that these people have been to your website, and I want to attract other people who look like those people. So that's what that's about. So a little bit of a distinction between custom and lookalike, but the key message really is that it's a good thing to do. It's a good place to start, and it's just a little bit of a setup in the back end. But again, a good Google search will bring you some instructions. Facebook, not so much.
And if you have the budget and the time and the resource, would you run both those types of campaigns? So to, you know, an audience that you select, so like women and their, you know,
Yes.
35 to 40 something, and run that as well as a lookalike campaign?
Yes, definitely. So again, that comes down to your test, learn, adjust. And you don't know what you don't know. You can only do what you think you know, but in actual fact, with digital marketing, the audience is telling you what they want. And you're learning that through the data and the insights that you will gather inside Business Manager and inside your Facebook page, and obviously in the results that you get. So it is good. And that's another technical term, but it's called A/B testing. So you've got campaign A and you've got campaign B. You put them out. There are some similarities in those campaigns, but there's some differences. You essentially see which one works, and then you just run with that one. Doesn't mean that the other one didn't work. It just means that one performed better than the other. And again, that's the learning and the insights of you know, where to focus.
Cool. Awesome. And so next is the ad type. So what, like, how should people go about choosing the right ad type for their campaign?
So this is kind of the fun part. So when you've gone through all the technical stuff, and that can be a little bit mind-bending for people, it's fun to get to the actual output. So what sort of ad am I going to choose? But what's it going to look like and what's it going to sound like? But you can have what's called a single image ad campaign. So that's just one really beautiful image with some text, and out it goes. Nothing wrong with that. Really, really good. What performs very well, though, is video. So video can be an actual video that you've taken inside the salon, or it can be 3 slides just in a little slideshow, and they perform probably better than a single image. But there again, you've got to test and figure out what your audience enjoyed the most. But one thing that I really like is what's called a dynamic ad. Dynamic ads take a little bit more time to set up, but they bring you so much more I was going to say intelligence, but insight into what works and what doesn't. So a dynamic ad, you're essentially setting up between 5 and 10 ads in one ad. So you might have 5 images, 5 headlines, 5 body copy, and then Facebook just mixes and matches. And as people click on ads and like things or don't like things, Facebook actually learns, and they do an exceptionally good job of learning what your audience is resonating with. And then from that, you can say, okay, so the top 2 or 3 ads out of this are these ones. These are the messages that are working. I'm going to switch the others off, and I'm just going to focus on these. And you could take it back to a single image ad if you wanted to. So yeah, dynamic ads, really, really worth investigating, but also video. They tend to have a higher engagement rate, but don't discount single image either. So yeah.
Cool. Awesome. And then, how do you create great creative? So, you know, great copy and images.
Yeah, so from a marketing standpoint, when we say creative, we mean the images and the copy or the text that you're writing. And look, just a really, really nice, simple, beautiful image will always attract attention. Doesn't have to be busy or anything like that. And if you're going to have text on your image, very little text, 2 or 3 words just to attract attention, then the copy, in my mind, is you're better off just having a sentence rather than long form story, because what you're trying to do, you don't want the ad to do the heavy lifting of the marketing. Your goal is to get them to somewhere. So if you want them to go to a website or go and buy something, that's where you want them to go. So you don't want to lose them at the ad stage. So the ad stage is really just a pretty picture and a little bit of teaser copy that they're interested enough that they go to somewhere else. Yes, there is a room for long form, what we call long form ads, which are big, long story, but that's a whole nother strategy and it just takes too long. So I think by the time you've set up Business Manager and chosen your objective and gone through all those steps, you just keep in mind that the ads got one job to do, and that's to get people to do one thing. So it's not there to do the heavy lifting. That's the job of where you send them.
Cool. It probably goes back to what we were saying before, and maybe even, you know, before you get started on this, is actually like write down what that goal is. So what is it that you're trying to achieve, so that, you know, as you're going through all these steps, you're always bearing that one thing in mind. So when you're writing your copy, you're like, actually, no, that's not quite right, because it's not going to achieve my goal or get me to where I want to be. So
right. And
always think about that.
And it's really, really good to plan it out on paper. Some people are very good at planning it on paper. Other people like to see it as they build it. And I'm a bit of a both, but because I've become so experienced at it, I can build it. And because you can start to see what it looks like as you're building it inside Business Manager, and then you go, the spacing isn't right, or the text is too long, or the picture doesn't look right. So you're getting that visual feedback. So that's good to do that. What was the other thing I was going to say about that? Can't remember. It'll come back to me. We'll carry on.
I was going to talk to you about the imagery as well. And I mean, obviously in our industry, there is so much opportunity for incredible imagery because you guys have amazing clients and beautiful spaces and things like that. So taking your own high quality images, is obviously a great option. Any other options, or if you want to, I don't know, create slightly different creative, any tools that we can use, any ideas you've got?
Yep, I agree with you. There's huge opportunity for creative. One thing to be aware of is that Facebook has really, really strict advertising policies and guidelines, and it would pay to learn them inside out. Because what happens is when you're setting up an ad in Business Manager, you send it off to Facebook and they have to approve it. And then if there's something wrong with the ad, then they come back to you and say it's been rejected for this reason, and then you change it and you send it back. When it gets approved, it goes live, but there's still no guarantee that Facebook may take objection to that ad. And then you run a very, very big risk of being shut down or restricted, so your advertising stops, and that's just causes untold problems. And sometimes for no apparent reasons. You've got algorithms running in the background. So what I found, and they're changing their policies all the time, is that you have to be almost quite bland with your advertising, which makes it difficult when you're trying to be really creative and stand out. So you've just got to play around with it. But if you're showing women with bare chest, or you're showing before and after, they don't like before and after. Sometimes when I think about gyms, for example, and I've seen an ad with a man who's shredded basically and got a great set of abs, and he's got the before and after, that's been shut down. They don't like that. They find it really offensive. And so, I've done ads and I've got them through and they're fine, but so there's no rhyme or reason. But I've done an ad for IPL, and you've got a nice, shape of a woman there with her legs showing because she's had her legs lasered. That's got through. But you just got to be really, really careful about how much skin you're showing. And so that's just one thing to think about. And then there again, in your text or your copy for your ad, you've also got to be careful that you don't make claims. We know that if you have this facial, your skin will be brighter, or we know that we will get results for the clients, but we can't say that and claim it as absolute. Facebook doesn't like it. So it does make it quite challenging. How do you make yourself quite, unique and stand out? Which is why I think you don't try and get the ad to do the heavy lifting. You just have to do enough to get the person across to where you want them to go. Then you can do what you like over there. So Facebook.
Awesome. And always look out for the little notifications, because they will notify you that things have been rejected. Like they'll email you and things like that. So do not ignore the emails.
No,
or the notifications. Like, make sure you look into it and kind of see what they've done, because sometimes you can actually sometimes like robots or algorithms or whatever will go, no, rejected. And if you know that it is definitely okay and you definitely haven't kind of broken any of their rules, you can actually get that overturned, and then the ad can run. So it's really worthwhile looking into it and learning the rules.
But even so, it's a mystery as to how the algorithm works, because ad accounts do get shut down for absolutely no reason. You look at it and you go, I've complied with every policy. I've not been offensive. And unfortunately, when you're shut down, it's very hard to get it back. Occasionally you do, and you go through this process of requesting a review, and then they take a long time to come back to you, by which time your advertising opportunity is lost. So that part, even me, I can experience that as well, and I know exactly what I'm looking out for. But occasionally it's an algorithm that does it, and then a person will check it. And Facebook's not very kind when it comes to things. So that's just an unfortunate thing that happens.
Yeah.
But in saying that, I know we're talking about Facebook advertising today, but it's quite good to have marketing out in other places outside of Facebook, just in case you do get shut down. At least you've still got some marketing in play.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, like we said, we're talking about all different kind of aspects of digital marketing, and there are so many different channels that you can choose from. So it's really about choosing which ones are best for your business and which ones are working. And if Facebook's not playing ball, then, there's always another option. But yeah, it's about, multiple options, multiple channels. Yeah. Cool.
And as I said earlier, putting a Facebook ad out there doesn't mean that you're all of a sudden going to have a flood of clients or a whole lot of sales. It takes time and, like you say, from different channels. So it's just to keep that in mind.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a long game, isn't it? It's not the turn on an ad and immediately see results. It's about I guess investing in your business, and if you invest in marketing, then you will start to see results.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's just not going to happen immediately. But I think that's kind of the fun of it, actually, because then once it starts to work,
some would argue it's not fun, but
yeah, cool. And then I know the last part, which is a very important part, is budget. So what would be your advice around that?
Yeah. Well, like you just said, it's about investing in your business. But I always say to people, particularly if you're starting out or if you're starting a new campaign, start low. $5 a day for 2 or 3 days. You should be able to get a sense then whether that campaign is going to work or not. And again, it's that test, learn, adjust. Once you find out what's working and you think you've got a great audience that you've warmed up and it's established and you're going back out to them, then you can increase it to $10 a day, $15 a day. I mean, obviously, if you put more in the budget, Facebook's going to use it. But I always say to people, start low. Nothing wrong with a monthly ad spend of $200 a month, $250 a month. That's a nice place to start when you're figuring things out, and you can just break your campaigns up over the month as you want to, and then start to increase it from there. So you don't have to have more budget to be more successful. That's not how Facebook advertising works. It's that whole getting the audience right, getting the image right and the copy right, and getting all those different factors in play. The budget's just another aspect, and you just trial it and then invest where you're getting the results.
Cool. And do you tend to always recommend the per day budget? And do you normally always put an end date on your advertising? Like, what kind of seems to work better, or is it more about seeing what works for a business?
It's different things for different salons, actually. I haven't found any kind of norm. And of course, Facebook changes things all the time, and they've changed. You can set the budget sort of at the campaign level instead of the ad level. And yes, you can have the campaign budget or a daily budget, and it's just playing around with it. When it's a brand awareness or a traffic campaign, I tend to just say, here's the budget, go for it, and I leave the end date open, because you can always stop an ad anytime you like. But I find that brand and traffic campaigns work quite well. So rather than it switching off automatically at a time when the campaign's going really well, I tend to prefer to be more hands-on about it. One thing about setting a campaign budget is you can see how you are tracking. And when you go into the business manager, you can see I've spent $20 of 100 or whatever it might be, and then you can check that against the results. So that's quite nice from a visual standpoint. In saying that, I tend to start with a daily budget, particularly when I'm starting out on a new campaign, because I feel I've got more control of the budget. Whereas if you say, here's the campaign and here's the length of the campaign, I feel like sometimes Facebook may spend it too soon. So I tend to start with a daily budget and see how you go, and then you can change anything at any time. You're not set in concrete once you've fixed your Facebook ad. I mean, that's what we in marketing call optimizing. So we go into our clients' accounts every day, and we're optimizing all the time, and we're changing things around just to make sure that it's performing as best as it can. So, I mean, I know that salon owners are busy and they haven't got every day to go in there and have a look at the ads, and some people probably don't really enjoy it. So, I would be just, setting it as a daily rate and then checking it every couple of days.
Cool. Awesome. Well, like you said, quite a big topic to cover and lots and lots of options, but also lots of opportunities, which is really exciting. And kind of, I get excited by the kind of, test something out and learn from it and then change it and see what's working and what starts to work for your business and really create results. So thank you so much for taking us through all of that today.
You're welcome. It was good. It was fun. I mean, it's a topic I love, so hopefully everybody enjoyed it.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. We really, really hope that helps you set up your next Facebook ad campaign. And hopefully we see you on our next Facebook Live. We'll see you all.
Thanks. Bye.